What's going on, guys? Welcome back for episode 28 of Divine Journey 2. As you may have noticed in the intro, I did add 5 more Botania portals in between episodes, and that's because occasionally when we were crafting a bunch of more than one item, the portal would get backed up and get stuck and just continue repeating the same craft over and over again. So this portal is dedicated to Elementium, this one's dedicated to Pixie Dust, and so on and so forth. The only one that we have shared is the two things we don't use very often, which is going to be the mana glass and living wood. So that's really about all I did in between episodes. So let's go ahead and get started on some tier 3 mystical agriculture. And the 2 bewitchment seeds we need at the moment. So let's go ahead and request our first Prudentium infusion crystal. And with that, we can go ahead and craft up a good amount of intermedium, then our first tier 3 crafting seed. And finally, 9 of each of the tier 3 seeds we need. And that was a good 35 to 40 minutes of sitting in front of that infusion matrix just to craft these 9 seeds. So instead, what I think we'll do is hold off on the tier 3 mystical agriculture seeds until we get the auto infusion matrix and thermic energistics here. So instead, we'll just request for 1 of each of the bewitchment seeds we need. Oh man, that thing uses a lot of essentia. Could be here a while. Now that we have our 2 seeds, and there's going to be more to come later, we're going to need a spot to farm these. So let's get started on that. Alright, this is the setup we got. So we have a 5x5 area for each of these crops, and we have room to expand for more crops. And then in the middle here, we have 4 hydrators, just speeding up the growth of the crops, and a plant interactor to harvest them and send them over to this drawer system. And the next step is to craft the witch's oven. So let's go ahead and set up some recipes for this. And let's just go ahead and request 1 of these for now. Well, that could be a problem. We're currently not able to craft this because the flux has completely tore up this chunk. So I guess we can set this thing back up in the overworld. This thing shouldn't be generating any flux, so this is probably a more ideal location for it. You can see we have 1297 available. But that does mean, unfortunately, we're going to have to travel back and forth to do some of these crafts. But hey, if it works, it works. And now we have our first witch's oven. And another trophy. The quest here actually calls for some empty jars, and these are made from glass vials in the crucible. Well, that's easy enough since we have our thaumatorium set up. Then we just need to smelt these guys down, and that should complete our quest. And we'll just set this thing up right here for now. And with this, we need to input a fuel. We need to input our empty jars. And for the first craft, we're going to do oak saplings, which is going to give us oak spirits, but it looks like it's only a % chance for that to fill into the jars. And we're going to need 6 for the quest, so I'm just going to keep monitoring this. There we go. Alright, so next we're going to put in birch saplings to get 6 birch souls, and it looks like these are a 100% chance. And lastly, we'll put in spruce, which will give us 6 spruce hearts and complete a quest. And with that, we can set up a recipe for our witch's altar. There's a few different variants of this, but we're going to go for the obsidian one. Now we're going to need a total of 6 of these, so let's go ahead and request that. And while that's crafting, let's go ahead and get a little bit of red carpet. Now that we have these, we're going to need to set up an area for bewitchment. And I'm thinking we expand out over here with our blood magic and stuff, just as this is kind of our evil magic area. But I'm not sure exactly how big this area is going to need to be. So we're going to have to just kind of play around with it and leave room for expansion. And this is what we got so far. The grass is still spreading, and right here in the middle is where our witch's altar is going to be. So from what I could tell from the wiki and the quest book, the witch's altar has a 16 block range from the middle to detect certain things. And one of those things is plant life, and that's going to improve the power of the witch's altar. So I've measured this out so that every side is 16 blocks away from the center of this. That way we can fit as much in here as possible. And then I figured this room here would be to automate certain things like our witch's oven that we crafted up earlier. And I'm sure there's going to be other things from this mod as well. So let's go ahead and get down our witch's altar. To do this, we need to place 6 of them in a 2x3 pattern like this, and then put a piece of carpet on top. And now our witch's altar is ready to go. And you can see when I right click on it, we have 4 out of 4 and ×1 power. So we need to get this number way up. And the quest book gives a bunch of tips on how to do that. So let's get started on these. So let's add a diamond sword to it and see what that does. Okay, that takes us to 5 out of 5. So that only added 1 altar power. But the quest book says that the diamond sword should be the best as far as vanilla swords or the Athame go. So let's try adding some trees around here and we'll see what that does. Okay, we're at 19 out of 19 now from adding few trees. I didn't grow this one. Let's see. Still 19 out of 19. I haven't really done anything else, but it's boosted all the way up to 351. I wonder if the grass growing around here has an effect on it as well. Alright, and after taking a bunch of time to plant some various different crops, bone meal the ground, plant a bunch of flowers, bunch of trees, we're up to 2786 altar power. And we still have 5 more slots on top of this that we can put items. And these items are probably going to change at some point, but for now we're going to encode recipes for the silver candelabra, which is going to require us to use the witch's oven again with some jungle saplings, and that'll give us cloudy oil, but we actually don't need this. So I was reading on the wiki a little bit more, and a lot of these items that we're putting on top of the altar are just going to increase the power, but in the situation we're at, we should have enough power. Hold on, did that increase it that much? Yeah, that increased it like 700. Okay, that's actually pretty crazy. So we may do 1 candelabra. Yeah, we're going to remove this diamond sword, and we're going to keep making the cloudy oil until we have 5 of them. That way we can do a candelabra, which will take us up from, what are we at now? 2100 to, well, honestly, the diamond sword was better than the candelabra, even though it says here that it goes in increasing order of effectiveness, and the sword falls here. So I guess we'll put the sword back, which has us at 2802 altar power. And then for the rest of these, we're going to do pentacles, because I think 2800 is going to be plenty of altar power. And what these pentacles are going to do is allow it to charge faster. So I wonder if we can stack more than one of the same type. I know dragon heads are usable, and that takes us up to ×7 recharge rate. But let's see, if I get rid of one of these, am I still at a ×7? Yeah. So you can only use one of each type. So the next most effective thing that we have access to is a wither skeleton skull. But that still only has us at ×7. I wonder if ×7's capped out. Yeah, I mean, it looks like ×7 is capped out, so I guess we'll fill in the rest of these slots with things that give us more power. So we'll get the candelabra back down. That'll take us up to 2905. And to be honest, most of these other things are either not accessible or aren't going to help us out too much right now. So I think we'll just rock with this for now. So with that being said, let's move forward with the quest. Next, we're going to throw cypress saplings into the witch's oven, which will give us Ebb of Death. Then we'll go with juniper saplings to get Essence of Vitality. And lastly, we'll go with acacia for acacia resin. Which brings us into 3 more seeds from Bewitchment: aconitum, belladonna, and wormwood. So let's set recipes for each of these. Now we just need to give each of these a spot in the crop farm and a drawer on the wall. I'd also like to add elder saplings to our tree farm and cypress saplings. Then we can use the elder sapling in the witch's oven to get droplets of wisdom, and mandrake to get liquid witchcraft. We'll then use those to make witch's delicacy, and we're going to need to use that to set a recipe for the witch's cauldron. Alright, let's go ahead and request one of these. Now this witch's cauldron is used for a couple different things, but it looks like we're going to need to go back and get the distillery first. So let's set a recipe for that as well. And let me just say that distillery craft took absolutely forever. So let's craft up 4 of these infusion speedstones. Looks like I'm missing aqua and air V crystals. We should be able to get 2 of these, and we're going to have to wait for the V in the chunk to recharge before we can get the last 2, because they take 500 each. And these are going to go directly under each of these infusion pillars. So we'll have 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Then we just need to fill back in our holes. And that should pretty well increase this infusion speed, so hopefully your future crafts will be a little less painful. But now for the witch's cauldron and the distillery. Witch's cauldron is supposed to use water, so I'm hoping we can do the same thing with an unending bowl and a user. We just need to get to activate block with item. Oh, and right here it says that you need altar power for each recipe, so I guess we're going to need to move this up. But to where exactly? Maybe right here in front of it. And it also needs a fire below it. Hopefully it should start boiling now. Oh yeah, there we go. Fire is spreading to nearby blocks. Well, it's not a very elegant solution, but I guess it works. And for our first recipe, we're going to throw in 3 magic tallow, a crystallos, and a presidium to get tallow. And our second recipe is going to be 3 salt, a ritual stone, Percantio V, Alienus V, and Perditio V to give us ritualistic salt. Next, we're going to need to make swirls of the depths. For that, we're going to need an Omethal Soul, an Aqua V crystal, Permutatio V crystal, an Ebb of Death. And that's what we're looking for, some of this coquina. Then we'll put all of this in the distillery, and I believe it has to be in order. It looks like it needs blaze powder to work. Yeah, it looks like that's working. Well, I say it's working, but this bar is not filling up at all. Maybe it needs to be within range of the altar as well. Oh yeah, now we're cooking. And there's our swirl of the depths. Next we need Cloudy Oil, Incendium, Tallow, Ignis V, and Alchemia V to get Fiery Unguent. After that we're going to need to make Cleansing Balm, but for this we're missing White Sage. And apparently you can get the seeds from baking dead bushes. Oh yeah, we got it first try. So I guess we'll add this to the farm as well. So now we should be able to add acacia resin, white sage, ritualistic salt, garlic, census, and spiritus to get our cleansing balm. Then we'll use our swirl of the depths with 2 wood ash, a piece of tallow, a slime ball, and white sage to get gypsum. Then we'll take a piece of chalk and that 3 gypsum around the outside, along with 3 ritualistic salt around the outside. And where's my caster's gauntlet? Activate this craft, and that'll give us our ritual chalk. And I think we're going to go ahead and upgrade this to the next tier, which is focal chalk. But for that, we don't have these blanket advanced focuses. So let's set recipes for these. Well, I guess just one recipe. The rest of the stuff we're going to have to craft by hand. That being some alumentum. And in order to do the next craft, we're going to need some garmonbosia. So let's see if we can't farm up some vengeance essence real quick. Just under a stack should be okay. And now that we have that crafted down into garmonbosia, we can put it down into the crafting core, along with 3 bottles of enchanting, 2 Salus Mundus, and the empty orb. After some time, it's going to convert into our base focal sphere, and we can use that, the thaumatorium, to make a blank lesser focus, and request our blank advanced focus. Then we can throw our ritual chalk, our blank advanced focus, a swirl of the depths, and a gold promise acceptor in the cauldron to get our focal chalk. Now we're about to get into some rituals, so I think this Book of Shadows is going to come in handy. So our next step is going to be to craft up another set of chalk, because we used up our regular ritual chalk to make the focal chalk, and we need white circles as well as yellow. And now that we have all of our ritual chalk, we're going to need to set up a ritual area underneath the altar, because it has to be within range, and above it is pretty much full. All right, some changes have been made. One, we're going to do all of our witch's oven automations up here because they don't have to be in range of the altar. And then down here is going to be our ritual area and our witch's cauldron and distillery automation, since they do have to be within range of the altar. With that being said, it's time to make some purifying bath salts because we're going to need these for the first ritual. All right, so time for our first ritual. And I assume we need to click this on in order. It's going to be 4 triple compressed dirt, 2 ritualistic salt, 2 purifying bath salts, and then a purified tablet. And then right click with an empty hand. And it popped up at the bottom and said right of the tough and pure. So I think it's working. Oh, yep, there we go. And that opens up this next quest for dragon resin. And it says this is one of the most difficult cauldron recipes to create. So let's see what it's got in store for us. We have that, we have that, we have that, we have that. Maybe we have that. Maybe we have that. These two are pretty easy. And fiery unguent, we have that. So let me gather all these materials together. All right, and we have everything except for the dragon scale. And it says it's supposed to drop from the dragon after you kill him the second time. I believe we have killed him a second time, but maybe that just doesn't matter. Well, I'm flying around here and I don't see any more portals, so I guess we didn't kill him a second time. I could have swore we did though when we needed dragon's breath. He's here. I wonder if this time we can kill him without even having to worry about the crystals. Yeah, it looks like it. Well, that was easy. Alright, now we should have everything. So let's give this a go. Dragon's breath, dragonstone, draconium, tough purified paste, dragon scale, resin bucket, diabolus, bestia, fiery unguent. And now we have our dragon's resin. That we're going to want to dig a hole in the ground, place down some blood, and throw our dragon resin into the blood one at a time. And the last one hardened on us. Alright, there we go. Now we can use this dragon's blood resin in a runic matrix recipe. First we're going to need a bloodwood sapling, then 4 of the dragon resin, 2 cleansing balm, and 2 ebb of death. Oh man, that is a lot of essentia. That gives us our first dragon's blood sapling. Questbook says to plant this thing down to get some more, so let's do that real quick. 16 should be enough for now. Now we need to make an essentia resonator. And we'll craft that down with some of our new dragon's bloodwood to get a bow line. Now we're going to need a little area where we can farm this tree. I think right out here should be a fairly decent spot. So we need to grow this thing and then right click with the bow line. Oh, there you go. You can see the dragon's blood resin's dropping from it. And it's kind of flying out in every which direction, but hopefully we can use a ranged collector to pick it all up. And then we'll send it to a drawer with some item conduits. And I'm not sure if this is something we're going to need a bunch of, but if we do, we can always connect this drawer up to the ME system. But we just need 16 to complete the quest. Alright, let's see what our next step is here. Next we need to make the oil of vitriol. And most of this stuff we should already have except for this empowered oil florb. So I guess that means we're going to need a little bit better empowered oil setup. So we're going to have a canola press. That's going to receive canola and make canola oil. We'll need to send that into a fractionating still. The fractionating still will be output into the world in this block. And then we will have a world fluid importer to pick it up. We're going to need a world fluid reader. And this is going to need to go on the bottom of it in order to read the content or read which fluid is in this block. That way we can decide which item to export at what time. And I guess we're also going to need a fluid placer here somewhere. Yeah, I think we're going to need to pick this drawer up. And then both of these can be picked up. And our fluid placer can then go right here. We're going to need a block to place this off of as well. There we go. So that's going to face into the dirt block. And we already have everything on it, so we can actually pick that up now. And then finally, this fluid importer is going to send to this fluid transposer, which will have florbs, and then that'll output to the drawer with empowered florbs. All right, so I got the canola press set up to receive canola, And then that's putting the canola oil here to make the refined canola oil, and then it's getting placed here. So now we just need to set up our logic for integrated dynamics. So we're definitely going to need a variable store. And I think instead of hooking integrated dynamics directly up to this interface, we're going to use a storage crate here. That way we can limited item filter canola and empowered canola. And in our fluid reader, we're going to come down and find block fluid and pull that variable. And we'll create a fluid variable for refined canola oil, a fluid variable for crystallized oil, and finally a fluid variable for empowered oil. The fluid variable for empowered oil is going to go directly into the pickup fluid slot in this world fluid importer. Then we'll create an equals operator for block fluid if the block fluid is equal to refined canola oil. Output this boolean. Now we're also going to need item variables for crystallized canola seeds and empowered canola seeds. And we'll also need an equals operator for the crystallized oil. So if the block is crystallized oil, then output this boolean, and an item variable for something that'll never end up in the system. Now each of these fluid variables can go into the variable store. Now we're going to need to create a couple of choice variables. So we're going to say if this first boolean is true, and this is going to be the one for refined canola oil, then output crystallized canola seed. And if it is false, then output the drawer key. And we'll take that variable. Then we're going to put our next boolean into the choice. And we're going to say if it's true, output the empowered canola seed. And if it's false, output this variable. And then we're going to grab that variable. Now all of these variables can go into the variable store except for the very last one that we just pulled out. And then we're going to put this very last choice variable in the place item entity here. So it's going to start checking to see what the fluid is, and if it is, it's going to transform it all the way up to powered oil. And then at which point we're going to import the fluid from here into this fluid transposer from the bottom. Now we have empowered oil automated, and this crafter conveniently has one slot left. So we'll set it up with a couple slime balls, some sawdust, and some slag to make us our florbs. And we'll send those over to our fluid transposer to make florbs of empowered oil. And now we should be able to make our oil of vitriol. And using that, plus some triple compressed cobblestone, ectoplasm, Terra V, and Ordo V, we can make some stone ichor. With 2 stone ichor, 3 dragon's blood wood. Oh, that last one didn't go in because it was an empty jar. 2 wormwood, a water wheel, and a spinning wheel. Actually, the spinning wheel needs to go in the middle. We can activate it and collect our Bewitchment spinning wheel. And the quest does say this thing needs altar power to function, so we'll put it right here for now. And there's a couple of crafts we're going to need doing this thing. First, we're going to need 2 liquid witchcraft and 2 string. That'll give us witch's stitching and our empty jars back. Then we'll go in with 2 wheat, 1 gold nugget, and 1 liquid witchcraft. And that'll give us golden string. Then we're going to take both of these that we just crafted and throw them in, along with acacia resin and white sage to get pure filament. And the last craft we're going to need to do in here is for spirit string, which needs Spanish moss. I went ahead and went over to the swamp biome and grabbed some of this, but we are going to need to automate it. But I can confirm that a system like this will work, albeit very, very slow. I've been waiting for about 10 minutes and we only have 1 Spanish moss in here. But each of these users has shears in it. Use item on block, left click, upper left slot only. And now we just need to passive shears and have them limited item filtered in here. And now we can combine the witch's stitching, golden thread, ectoplasm, and Spanish moss to get spirit string. Next we need to craft a bone needle and a clockwork mind so that we can make our very first poppet. With that done, we're going to leave this side of the quest book as it is for now and move back up to some of these quests. To start off with, we're going to throw 2 tongue of the dog and 1 glass bottle into our witch's cauldron to get a bottle of blood. Then we have another recipe for our witch's cauldron. I'm just going to take that bottle of blood, a belladonna, a conatum, wormwood, 2 thaumium ingots, mycelium, and 2 vitium V to give us brew of the void. That does also open up chapter 21 for us here, but we'll wait until the next episode to get into that. We're going to continue here in chapter 20. with this next quest. Now, this next quest is to make a splash witch's brew, but there's not a recipe in JEI for this, so we're just going to follow it by the quest and see how this goes. So it says to throw in mandrake root, ice, glowstone dust, and gunpowder, and then right click with our bottles to fill it up. Looks like we got it. Now the quest says to build a field of stone, so that's what I've done here. And then we throw the bottle onto it, and that should make perpetual ice. And I'm assuming we're going to need to pull our silk touch pick back out to mine this. How much do we get? 2 stacks? Oh, there's still some more left. So it looks like to use this, we're being blocked off by this quest line here. So let's go back for this. So we need to process a Dreadium sword through the blood altar to get our dagger of sacrifice. Then we can use that with a couple of bewitchment items and some silver to craft in a theme. Now for the next quest, we're going to need to kill a variety of different things in order to obtain some of these items with the athame. So we already have hoofs, and we may actually have spectral dust as well. Yeah, we have spectral dust. We don't have dimensional sand or hearts. So for the hearts, we're supposed to kill villagers. I don't know if this works in the offhand or if we actually have to kill them with it. Either it's a really rare drop or we actually have to kill them with it. Well, let's give this a go. Oh, I see a heart popped out right there. And for the dimensional sand, we're going to need to kill Endermen. And it looks like they really do need to be killed with the athame, because I was just testing this a little bit more on the Endermen since they're in more of an abundance. Well, my athame broke, but I did get some dimensional sand. It broke when I hit this Ender Watcher with it. I wonder if it only works, like, if you use it on anything other than what it's intended for, it'll just break. I missed my extra dragon egg, which is nice to have, because now we can get down an extra dragon egg mill and increase our grid power by 500. Oh, and look, the quest actually gives us 3 extra hearts. So let's see, what's the next step? Heaven Extract and Otherworldly Tears. We can make the Otherworldly Tears with Swirl of the Depths, Liquid Witchcraft, Dimensional Sand, Inner Core Advanced, Alien SV, and Aqua V. And then the Heaven Extract with Cleansing Balm, Essence of Vitality, a Heart, Owlet's Wings, Holy Core, and Lux V. And now our quest is open back up over here. So let's make our Bottled Frostfire with Heaven Extract, Fiery Unguent, Perpetual Ice, Rune of Winter, Condensed Gellum, and a Mystical Tablet. Now we'll take our Bottled Frostfire that we just made, plop it down, and throw in 10 Thaumium ingots. Those are going to transform into cold iron ingots, and then when it's done we can just pick it back up. Then we need to come into our Hellfire Forge, throw in a Phantom Face, Drawbridge, Compressed Obsidian, and Mana Steel to get a Phantom Bridge reagent. From there we're going to do 2 transformations with Arcane Ashes. Both of them are going to need a Demonic Slate, and then a Phantom Bridge reagent and a Suppression reagent. And that gives us our Sigil of the Phantom Bridge and our Sigil of Suppression. On top of that, we're going to need a block of cold iron and an advanced crafting table tier 2, which we already had in the ME system, and 1 more Witch's Oven. Then all these items are going to go back into our runic matrix. So we'll have the Witch's Oven in the middle, and then all of the other items around the outside. And now that that's finished up, we have our Sigil table. I'm going to need to put this thing down somewhere. Oh, and it has a pretty big crafting grid and no way to import from JEI. So let's see if I can put all these items in. We're going to need 6 pieces of paper. We're going to need the dragon's blood in each of the corners. We need the 4 juniper berries around the center, sage there, and then our 6 cleansing balm, and that'll give us our sigil of purity. Next up, we need to make some traveler's tenacity with oil of vitriol, hooves, belladonna, wormwood, runes of lust, and motus V in the distillery. And here I was pursuing this quest for the Flame Devourer pendant, and we got the traveler's tenacity, and we made the second one to craft this, but we need a demon heart. So instead, we're going to turn our focus back over here because this looks like it leads us to a demon heart. So first, we're going to need to make some diabolical veins by putting witch's stitching, golden thread, fiery unguent, and hearts into the spinning wheel. Then we can make some bottled hellfire by going in with fiery unguent, hellbore, block of dragon's blood resin, gypsum, ignis V, and diabolus V. Following that, we're going to need to come to our witch's cauldron and throw in some chalk, bottled hellfire, a diabolical vein, and a rune of fire. And that gives us the fiery chalk. And for this quest, we can claim the Codex Infernalis, which is going to tell us how to summon different demons. So to start off with, we're going to need to change all of our circles to red. Alright, and now we should be good to attempt to summon this guy in. So we need to put in our theme, rotten flesh hellbore, bottle of blood, demonic horn, diamond, and gold. So we got all the items in. Plop our villager down, kill him. And I think I canceled it. Alright, I got another villager, so let's try this one more time. Hopefully the ritual's running now. Oh, yep, there we go. We got, what is it, Gorast. Oh, and he has no health at all. Okay, well that was easy. But we didn't get the thing that we needed from him, which was the demon heart. I'm wondering if we have to kill him with the athame to make it happen. Oh, he just spawned in. So let's go pick up our athame. And he's giving me like nausea or something. I'm gonna hit him like a couple times with my laser gun, and then I'm gonna need to kill him with this. Oh, he's got too much health to be killing him with something this weak. Oh, there we go. We got him now. Now we should be able to use our distillery with Fiery Unguent, Traveler's Tenacity, Demon Heart, Rune of Pride, and 2 empty jars to make Demonic Elixir. And now that we have all that, we can make the Flame Devourer pendant. Now we're once again being blocked off from completing this part of the quest line, so let's go back. And we're going to craft up Flying Ointment with Traveler's Tenacity, Belladonna, 2 Tallow, a Volatus, and a Modus. Next up, we need to put a Corallium Decorated Bloodstar in the middle of our runic matrix. Then we need Diabolical Veins, Cold Iron, and Stone Ichor around the outsides. And I think this cold iron might actually need to be chiseled to pinnacle to work. Let's give it a go. Yeah, now it's working. That'll give us our pentacle. Then in our spinning wheel, we need 2 black wool, bottle of blood, and a diabolical vein to get sanguine cloth. And now it's time to do another ritual. So we'll put in our athame, a demon heart, a pinnacle, bottled hellfire, flying ointment, liquid witchcraft, demonic horn, and the sanguine cloth. And I'm assuming we start this the same as the other one by killing a villager. Maybe not. Right click. Okay, seems to be working. Hopefully this will summon him in. Oh, yep, there he is. This should be one of the higher tier ones, but I mean, to be honest, he's still pretty easy. He does have 600 health. I'm gonna try to get it as low as I can without killing him. And then go in with the athame. Man, this athame is weak. It's weak, but he's dead. And all the rest of these guys, I'm just going to kill with a laser gun. Alright. Then we need another witch's oven in the runic matrix, along with demonic elixir, otherworldly tears, bottled hellfire, and this staff, which is what we fought the last boss for. It's called Caduceus. Now we can craft that up, and it'll give us a brazier. Once again, we're going to need to find somewhere to put this down. Then we'll need to craft a tag lock and shift right click that on a bed, which should turn it into a tag of Itzion. Then there's a number of items that we need to right click onto this brazier. So we need Fiery Unguent, Hellbore, Bottled Hellfire, Charcoal, and the tag lock. Then we need to hit that with the flint and steel, which should give us the Hellfire trait, I guess is what you would call it, effect. And now if we right click with this, we get ignition. And I'm not sure how long this lasts, so I kind of want to get the most out of it while we have it. I wonder if we can repair this thing. Oh yeah, we can repair it. That's perfect. So as long as we got this effect, I'm just going to get several stacks of this. I've been sitting here right clicking for a while, but it doesn't seem like this is ever going to run out. And apparently this effect can run out. I just asked on the DJ2 Discord, and a lot of people have had to redo it. So let's get as much ignition as possible while we have it. Alright, well, I've been sitting here clicking, repairing for a long time now, and we have just over 2,000 ignition. And I believe that's going to be more than enough. If we do need more later on, we can craft more. But to be honest, 2,000 should be plenty for something that you can only do manually. Next up, let's make another tier of chalk in the Witch's Cauldron. So we're going to need Ritual Chalk, Otherworldly Tears, Spectral Dust, and a Rune of Envy. That'll give us Phasing Chalk. So now we have another ritual to do. And I'm hoping that we don't have to keep replacing all this chalk. I think the Fiery Chalk is the highest tier, but we may end up having to change it back to purple. Anyway, we go 2 Wormwood, 2 Ectoplasm, Spectral Dust, and an Ender Pearl. And let's see if this works. You have not heard of such rites. So yeah, I'm assuming we got to switch out the chalk now. Alright, chalk switched out. Let's try again. Rite of the Spiritual Rift. So this should spawn some ghosts, and when we kill them, we should get shards of the grotesque. Oh, there's a ghost. Die. Oh, got me some shards already. But either way, that should be enough to complete this next quest. Before we can do that, though, we have to get this, which means we're going to need to come back for this Death Protection Poppet, which does use life crystals and potions of second chance. So let's go ahead and get these things automated. For the life crystals, we're going to need 4 extra crystallizers. And the first one we'll send in blocks of flesh to get crystallized phosphorus. The next one will get lapis to give us crystallized silica and crystallized sulfur. Then the next one will get niter, which will give us crystallized potassium and crystallized nitrate. And we'll take that nitrate and send it up into the next one to get crystallized nitrogen and also oxygen, which is being sent back over here to this drawer. And that does complete our automation for everything we need to craft the life crystals. But the problem here is all of our hydrogen is being used up to make methane. So we're going to add 4 extra crystallizers here in the back just for hydrogen and oxygen. And that should speed up production a pretty good amount. But we're still going to be waiting on this buffer to fill. So while we wait, let's go ahead and get our second chance potion automated. And for that, we are finally going to need to automate this enchanter. And while we're doing it, we may as well go ahead and do all 4 recipes that we're going to need. And we should actually be able to use draconium blocks and only use 4 of them instead of 15 bookshelves. Let's see. These bottom 2 are good. The top 2 are not. Maybe if we add 2 more up here. Yeah, now we're good. Then we can stack our drawers on top and bring our items and power up and around the sides. The first one's going to get gold ingots and output enchanted ingots. The second one's going to get bookshelves and output magical wood. The third one's going to get apples and output magical apples. And the last one's going to get nether stars and iron ingots and output evil infused iron ingots. Then we just need to clean the area up a little bit. And this setup is good to go, outside of the fact that we need to still automate bookshelves and apples. So we'll just add those into this last crafter down here. Then we'll need to set up another crafter tier 3, which is going to receive magical apples, gold blocks, gold nuggets, and melons to craft us enchanted golden apples and glistening melons. And we'll send those along with netherwort and glowstone dust into our potion brewer to give us our potions of second chance. And we have now filled the methane buffer, but we're still waiting on the machines to backlog. So while we do that, I want to request 5 more witches ovens so that we can passive 5 of the witches oven recipes that are going to be used often. To do that, we can just limited item filter blaze rods, empty jars, and then the input item from the back. And this one, we're going to do the input item as acacia saplings. And I guess in order to attempt to keep this symmetrical, we'll put 1 more witches oven over here. This is just going to be for manual crafting. And then over here on this side, we're going to put 1 more frame drawer. And we'll extract out of the bottom of each of these on the black channel directly into the top of the drawers. So this first one's going to give us wood ash and acacia resin. The wood ash we're going to have over here in a drawer with a void upgrade, and then I just maxed out the storage upgrades. And then the rest of them are going to have a storage downgrade and the jar inside. On top of the acacia, we're also going to need 1 for mandrake root, which will give us liquid witchcraft, 1 for cypress saplings, which will give us ebb of death, 1 for juniper saplings, which will give us essence of vitality, and finally jungle saplings, which will give us cloudy oil. And that does still leave jungle saplings needing to be automated, so we'll add it to this crafter here. And then with a little bit of tidying up, this area is complete. So now let's work on making our death protection poppets. First, we're going to need 8 life crystals. Then 7 additional poppets on top of the ones we made earlier. What are we missing? Shouldn't be missing that. Yep, no, we're not. It was just in this crafting terminal rather than this one. And now we should be able to craft all 8 of our death protection poppets. Oh, and these have to be crafted individually. To go along with the 8 of those, to craft our death core, we're also going to need a florb of liquid death. So our thaumatorium is once again going to come in handy. All we need to do is put in a bucket and select liquid death, and it's going to pull in a bunch of essentia. Once that's done, we'll need to put it into a fluid transposer and throw our florbs in. And now we can craft our death core. Now it's time for a witch's cauldron recipe again. So we're going to throw in our demonic elixir, death core, 2 shards of the grotesque, the lizard leg, toe of the frog, adder's fork, hellbore, and belladonna to get stew of the grotesque. Alright, so next we're going to have to do another ritual to do another boss fight. But before we do that, let's redo this ghost ritual, because we are going to have to change these circles back to red. And at that point, I don't want to ever have to do these back to purple again. So let's do this ritual one more time, and we're going to catch the ghost in a soul vial. Oh yeah, it has to be nighttime. Let me wait a little while. Alright, hopefully now we should be good. Okay, we got the ritual started, and we didn't get a ghost spawn this time. Let's try again. Once again, no ghost spawn. Surely 3rd time's the charm, right? Still no ghost spawn. Round 4. No ghost spawn again, huh? 5th attempt. Really can't believe we got this first try last time, and now we can't get one at all. And no ghost spawn. Number 6. No ghost spawn again. Attempt number 7. Once again, no ghost spawn. Starting to wonder what are the odds of this happening. Number 8. At this rate, we're going to run out of night before we get a ghost spawn. Well, number 8's a fail as well. 9. I see him. I see the ghost. Give me. Thank you. Alright, 9 attempts in, and we finally got it. Let's just kill off the rest of these guys. And let's replace our chalk now. I imagine this is probably going to break, and we're going to have to make another one, but we can get as much done as we can with this one. Yep, there it goes. We got the full outer ring and then a little bit of this next one. Oh, Thaumcraft, making everything foggy. Well, anyway, let's make our next chalk. Now, for our last demon fight, we're going to go in with the Athame, the Demon Heart, the Stew of the Grotesque, Bottled Hellfire, Flying Ointment, Liquid Witchcraft, Demonic Horn, and a bottle of blood. Then the quest book says that we need to spill the blood of a lamb, so I'm assuming a sheep will work. Sounds like it activated. Oh yes, there's Leonard. Alright. Oh yeah, he's pretty easy also. Alright, he's pretty weak, so let's try to kill him with the Athame now. Not much more damage. One more? Yeah. And he dropped his staff for us, which does completely finish out. Oh, where are we at? Chapter 20 here. So I guess that's where we're going to end this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And if you did, make sure to drop down and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one.